Hi everybody, it's TJ here, and in this video I've got some sad news to share, which is that I've decided to close down the MyBabyDream Community that I've been running for the last 2 years. I've been running it for women around the world who are on an unusual path to motherhood, whether they're having a baby by themselves or they're having a baby at an older age or with donor eggs. And we've had women from all around the world join this community. And I know many of you watching may have come into that community, been there for a while. Maybe some of you are still there. Maybe some of you never ever looked at it. It's totally fine. But some of you will know in a lot of detail what I'm talking about today, and some of you might not know. And I have decided to bring it to an end, and I'm going to share with you in this video why that is. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's TJ. I'm a single mother by choice to 2 kids. One of them is 3.5, and on this channel we call her Little Star. And my youngest one is just turned 1 recently, and on this channel we call him Baby Elf. And I had both of them using donor sperm, but I also used donor eggs because I'm an older mother. I had them at 48 and at 51, so they're double donor babies, and absolutely loving having them. It's been a wonderful 3.5 years. I feel incredibly blessed. And before I say anything else about closing down the community, I just want to reassure all of you that I am continuing this YouTube channel. I feel like this YouTube channel has helped so many women around the world. I get contacted all the time by women who've been watching this, who have felt inspired to go on and have a baby by themselves, or have a baby at an older age, or have a baby using donor eggs. And it just brings me so much joy when I hear from these women. I can't stop this channel. So this channel is definitely going to continue, but I have decided to close the community. So why did I start the MyBabyDream community if I was having so much fun making this channel? I started it because in the first year of running this channel, I just noticed I was having so many women leave comments on my videos, asking me questions. They were finding my email address in the about section. They were writing me emails, and I felt like I can't really answer their questions just in the comment box on YouTube. And even by email, like I wanted to have deeper conversations with these women. So I needed to find a place where I could connect with these women properly. And then on top of that, I started noticing, well, this woman's in her 40s, living in Canada, having a baby by herself. She says she doesn't know anyone on this path. And then this woman writing to me is also in her 40s in Canada, having a baby by herself. Like, I need to introduce them. And here's a woman who's married, who's using donor eggs, and she's in her late 40s, and she doesn't know anyone. And here's another woman writing to me, who's in her late 40s, who's married, who's using donor eggs, and I need to introduce them. And I just started to feel this strong urge to connect these women with each other. And that's why I started the community. I just felt passionately I wanted to connect these women with each other, because I felt very alone when I first started this journey. I did not know anybody else who had had a baby by themselves. I did not know anybody else who'd had a baby at an older age, and I just definitely did not know anybody who'd used donor eggs. And I connected with some women through Facebook groups a little bit, but not really. Like, it's hard to get to know someone through a Facebook group. And I always wished I had had that community around me. So I think that's why I wanted to create that community for other women to have that around them. And I think the mistake I made was I probably should have just started it as a Facebook group. But at the time, I was a bit jaded with Facebook. I felt like, oh, so many distractions, so many advertising. And also I was in so many Facebook groups for single mothers by choice, and none of them really fostered much real connection. There was comments, there was likes on comments, and there was replies on comments, but I never really felt I got to know the women in great depth. So I was just racking my brains, like, how can I do this? And I started researching online communities and different softwares, and I found this software called Circle, which seemed to be the answer because it just was much more personal, and people could set up detailed profiles and share about themselves, and you could set up different spaces. So I had all these different spaces in the community, which I put a lot of time and thought and effort into creating. Spaces where women could share their updates on their journey, but also spaces where they could ask for empathy if they were feeling really sad or defeated because maybe their round of IVF didn't work, and then spaces where they could make excited announcements if they had a baby. So like different areas of the community where women could discuss different things. And I set up different cafes, like cafe areas where women could have real-time chats about being a solo mom or using donor eggs, and they had different things to talk about, set up little chat areas. And I was so excited about it. I put so many hundreds of hours into building this thing, and it cost me a lot of money because Circle is not free software. So I was like spending so much money, so much time running it, but then it just never really took off. And I think it never really took off because people are not in the habit of going to this place to check in when they're on their phone or on their computer. They're used to going to Facebook, they're used to going to Instagram, they're used to going to TikTok. They're not used to typing in some URL to go to some other place. they're not in the habit of doing it. So women would join kind of excited, but then they would just forget to go and check in. So I had to do a lot of work sending out reminder emails and writing long welcome sequences explaining how to use the community and encouraging people to come in and check in every now and then. And it was just so much work. And it just never really took off. And I think then women would come in all excited and there wasn't much action happening and there wasn't much conversation. So then they'd leave and they didn't really give it a chance. Whereas if they'd actually put some energy in, then it would have flourished. If every woman who'd entered had just spent a few days writing lots of posts, it probably would have taken off. But it just never really did. And so then I thought, okay, I want to try something that's very close to my heart. I'm going to start creating circles, support circles. So we had about a 6-month period in the community, and I really feel like this was the heyday of the community, and it's the bit that I look back on with the most fondness and that I'm the most glad I did, and that I think led to the greatest rewards for the women in the community, because there were always a core group of women, maybe 30 to 50 women who were really in it, and then other hundreds who drifted in and out, never really participated and were just lurking or never really gave much energy to it. But there was always a core group who were in it. And so we ran support circles, and what they were like Zoom calls, so you could all see each other. There might be 5, 6, 7 women in the call, and we would do it once a month. And everybody would go around the circle and share where they were at in their baby journey. Let's say it was a group of women doing it by themselves, because I had circles for donor egg women and I had circles for single mothers by choice. And let's say it was a single mother by choice circle, and some of them are already doing IVF, some of them are just thinking about it, some of them are in the middle of doing embryo transfers, but they're all by themselves and they all feel like they have no one to talk to who understands what it's like doing this by yourself. And we would each have 5 minutes to just share like what was the most burning thing for us at the moment. And I always prefaced it with like, choose the thing that no one else in your life will understand, that only other women on this path would understand. So people would be sharing this stuff that was so personal to them and so close to them, that they had so much emotion about, but that they couldn't talk about with other people, like their financial worries about doing this by themselves, or the fact that their family wasn't supporting their decision, or worrying about sperm donor issues, or worrying about what they would tell their child when their child grew up, or just all sorts of stuff that only another woman who's on this path would understand. And then we would all listen to this woman for 5 minutes and really hold space for her. And then everybody would go around the circle and give them empathy so that they felt really understood. And you just watch these women kind of go, oh, finally somebody understands, And then we would all give each other advice and suggestions and all that after we've given empathy. And these circles were so nourishing. I used to get off the calls and just be like, oh, that was so nourishing. I just loved them. But the challenge was, even with those circles, I had this online community of women from about 15 different countries, and we're all in different time zones. So trying to find a time when everybody could come to one of these circles was almost impossible. So it always just ended up being a small number of women who could make it. And because of that, apart from the small number of women who could make these times, other women weren't getting that need met for deeper connection. So then I was like, maybe I could try something else. And I spent months racking my brains and thinking about it. And I probably spent hundreds of hours literally researching and developing the next thing I tried, which I called support pods. And it was basically a matchmaking service, matchmaking women on an unusual path to motherhood with other women in the same situation. But I was so passionate about it. And I did this when my baby was born. So I think my second baby was only like a couple of months old when I was building this whole thing. And then I was so excited, I launched it and I put some Facebook posts up in some Facebook groups saying we're matchmaking other single mothers by choice. Initially, I charged women for it because it was taking me so much time. And I was like, I put hundreds of hours, I'm going to charge them like a few bucks for this. And nobody joined it, like nobody, like it was like crickets. And I was like, wow, even though all the women I'm reading in these groups really want to meet other women in the same boat, they won't even pay a few dollars for it. Okay, I'm going to have to make these free. So I went, all right, I'm just going to do this from the goodness of my heart, even though it's taking me so much time and costing me so much money to run. I'm just going to do it for free, because if hundreds of women around the world all get connected and they're all in their little pods and they're all using it, I will feel so good. It will be worth it for me to pay for all of it and get no money back. So I was like, okay, I'll do it for free. So I launched it a second time. And this time I made it free. So there was a few people who joined when it was paid, and then I launched it again free. And this time I put one post up in a big single mother by choice group and 100 women signed up. And I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. We're gonna have all these support pods with all these women and I'm gonna matchmake them all. It was so exciting. So then I spent like a week like sifting through all these deep questionnaires they'd all filled in with like hundreds of millions of questions about where they're at in their journey. And I was like, wow, I've actually been able to put these women together. And like, here's 5 women who are all over 45. They've all already got a child and now they're trying to have a second one. And here's 5 women who all have actually adopted a child and now they're trying again with sperm donor. And here's 3 women who all actually are using donor eggs and are married, but they're at the exact same point in the IVF journey. And I was like, I can't believe I found 3 of them like that. I can't believe I found 5. So I got so excited. So I built all these pods and I spent days writing all these emails, introducing them all to each other and telling them how to use the pods and blah, 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 blah. And then nobody used it. Like nobody. I think 3 or 4 people actually joined their pods and used it. I was just like, I can't. I was so exhausted. I was so disappointed. Ironically, the only women who ever really used the pods were the handful who joined when it was paid. It was a tiny number, and they are still using their pods now because they valued it enough as a concept to pay for it, which means they valued it enough to actually turn up. And those few women are in beautiful pods that have continued for many months, and they've built amazing friendships and they have a great support system with their pod sisters. It's exactly what I wanted, but it's only 2 or 3 pods. And all the hundreds of women I thought I was going to help who joined when it was free, none of them ever even bothered to turn up and say hi to their pod sisters or use it or anything. And it was, maybe they just thought it was too difficult, too much to learn. I don't have time. Now, I'm not judging anyone because I know how hard it is as a solo mum. We don't have time. We don't have time to read through instruction manuals or watch an instruction video. We don't have the money to pay for things. So I totally get it. I'm not angry about it. I'm just disappointed because I just really wanted it to work and I tried so many things. So the thing is, once we started doing pods, then the people who normally would be active in the community were now active inside their pods. And so now nobody was writing any posts in the main community, whereas before at least there was some action happening in the main community. Once I set up the pods, those women who were engaged were now engaged in their pods, and there was now nothing. So now when anyone joined the community, it was just completely dead. And I realized, okay, by creating these pods, I've effectively killed the community. And by this point, yes, I could have tried other things and I had people suggest other things, but at this point, my enthusiasm for the project was at an end. And I'm now, I've now got 2 kids, I've got other work projects that are looming much bigger for me that actually do earn money. And, I'm about to move house, which is a whole other thing I'll talk about in other videos. And there's just a lot happening in my life. And to keep something going that earns no money, that costs me money, that takes a huge amount of my time, that no one's really using, that only a handful of women are using, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. It just makes no sense. So I'm closing it down. The handful of women who are still using it, they're all continuing on in their pods elsewhere off the community, maybe on WhatsApp or on Facebook Messenger. They're continuing their group, so I feel good about that. I'm in a pod myself. I'm keeping up my pod, so that'll be great. I'm getting that support. I've made lots of wonderful friends with women in the community. I've continued those connections and we've exchanged contact details, so we'll all stay in touch. So I feel like I've come out of it with some wonderful friends. But the thing that I've come out with that more than that really honestly makes me want to cry is that the group of women, say 40 or 50 women who really were engaged in that community over the last 2 years, when I think of where they were at the start and I think of where they're at now, it's mind-boggling. Most of them were just in the early stages of thinking about having a baby by themselves. They had seen my YouTube videos. They felt inspired by my journey. They didn't know if it was possible for themselves. And I watched them try and try and try and try. Some of them did like 5 embryo transfers. Some of them did multiple rounds of IVF over the time they were in my community. And some of them are still trying. They're still doing embryo transfers. They're still trying. And some of them are now pregnant. And some of them now have babies. One of the women who first joined my community now has a baby that's about to turn 1. There's another one that has a 6-month-old baby. There's another one that's a 9-month-old baby. I'm seeing pictures of these babies. I'm friends with these women now. They would not have those babies now, probably if they hadn't been part of that community, because it gave them a lot of support at a crucial time. So even though I'm sad that it didn't help thousands of women as I had hoped it would, and that it didn't grow into this big thing that was going to help single mothers by choice forever and end up getting sponsorship so I could offer it for free forever and I would still be earning money and I would still be able to cover my time and my energy and my costs, none of that happened, and I could focus on that. If I focus on that, I'm disappointed. I feel like I wasted 2 years of my life, 2 years of my energy, huge amounts of money, and it just never helped anyone and it just fizzed out and it was a waste of time. But if I focus on that handful of women, 20 or 30 women who really got the benefit of it, those babies that have been born now, those babies that are currently in their mummy's tummies, and those women who are still trying because they've had that extra couple of years of support to get them through that hump and may go on to have a baby next year or the year after because they were in that community and they participated in those circles and they participated in those pods. Helping even one of those women would have made it worth all my time. So I feel really emotional when I think about it. I'm glad I did it. I'm sad it didn't work, but I'm really glad I did it because those babies wouldn't exist now if I hadn't have. So I just want to reassure you all that I am continuing this YouTube channel. I'm not gonna try again with another community. I mean, someone said to me, why don't you just shift to a Facebook group? I could, but right now I'm sort of done. I'm feeling complete. I don't want to leave everyone with nothing. You watch my YouTube videos and then there's nothing to help you because I don't have this community anymore. So what I have done is I spent the last few months in the lead up to closing down the community writing a bunch of guidebooks to help women with the kind of stuff I was counseling people about in the community and the kinds of stuff we were talking about in our support circles, like how to manage the fears of how do I have a baby by myself? How do I handle the financial side of it? What do I do with choosing a sperm donor? What do I tell other people about this? What do I tell my child? How do I deal with the donor siblings and the extended genetic family when I use a sperm donor or an egg donor? I wanted to give some help and some guidance for women who are on this journey based on my experience and everything I've learned, but also based on everything I've learned from mentoring all these women in the community. So I spent the last few months writing these guidebooks. I'm very proud of them. I'll stick a link in the description box. I might even stick a picture of them up here for you to look at. And I highly recommend you go and buy these if you are on this journey of becoming a single mother by choice, or even if you're just thinking about it. And even if you're early on in the journey, maybe you're pregnant or you have a newborn, because there's stuff in there that will really help you, even if you're still in the early stages. I mean, if you've already got a 10-year-old, you probably have already figured out a lot of this. But if you're at the beginning, you won't know this stuff. I did not know this stuff. This is the stuff I wish somebody had told me when I was just thinking about it. Oh, can I give up on love? Can I do this by myself? How will I get through a pregnancy without a partner? What will I do with a newborn baby by myself? How will I manage? That's the stuff I'm answering in these guidebooks. I'm giving you lots of practical suggestions, lots of ideas for things that help me and that have helped other women I've been mentoring. So many solutions to these problems and so many things that will reassure you about your fears. So I just highly recommend go and get those guidebooks, read them, and implement the strategies that I've shared with you in them, and your single mother by choice journey will be so much easier. And for those of you who aren't on the single mother by choice journey but who joined my community because you're an older woman using donor eggs, I am currently in the process of writing a similar set of guidebooks for you that will be focusing on the challenges and fears that come up when we're doing this at an older age, over 40, over 45, and when we're having to use donor eggs and we can't use our own genetics. It brings up a lot of stuff, and that's the stuff I'm currently working on. So I will let you know when those are ready. But right now, the single mother by choice guidebooks are ready. So I feel a little bit better about closing down the community now that I have those to offer, because I was feeling bad for months. God, if I just close this, people watch my videos, then well, now what? How can I get more support? I've watched this woman talk, it's inspiring me, but I'd like to get to know her better. I want to pick her brain, I want to ask her some questions, I need some information. So now at least I can say to people when they write to me in my videos, I can say, look, I've answered that question in my guidebooks, go and read them. They're in detail, they got everything in them, go and read it now. So I feel in integrity to close this community down now that I have something else to offer people who are watching this channel. So we're closing down at the end of June, the community at the end of June 2025. For those of you who were part of the My Baby Dream community at some point in the last 2 years, thank you for joining. Thank you for believing in me, believing in this dream of bringing women together to support each other on this path of having a baby in an unusual way. Thank you for any energy you put into the community, even if you just went in there once and wrote one post, or if you were in there day after day for months and months and months, which some of you were, I thank you so much, because all of you helped keep me going and running it. And thank you for just being part of something so beautiful that came from so much heart and such big intentions and such a big vision. And it's been such a great joy for me getting to know each and every one of you. If you were in the community and you haven't had a chance yet to exchange contact details with me, or you become Facebook friends with each other or whatever, just send me an email. I think it's tj@mybabydream.club. I'd like to stay in touch with you. I really do love to build personal relationships with the women who watch this channel, with the women who are on the same journey that I'm on, because there ain't that many of us doing it, and we need to support each other and we need to get together. All right, guys, over here you'll see another video that I've made about being a single mother by choice at an older age using donor eggs. Watch it, it will be inspiring. Until my next video, I'm sending you all so much love, so much baby dust.